All right. Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to get into something, well, kind of cool. It's this powerful philosophical tool, but it's also like a practical guide for your own life. We're going to figure out how to become what you might call a reality detective. How to doubt everything, just so you can find that one thing you know is absolutely 100% true. So, yeah, let's dive right in. Okay, so let's just start with a super basic question. Think about it for a second. That cup of coffee you might be drinking, or the screen you're looking at right now, how do you really know it's there? I mean, it seems obvious, right? Of course it is. But have you ever just stopped and thought about how often your own senses kind of get things wrong, even in small, everyday ways?
And that right there, that brings us to step one of this whole mental exercise. We're going to call it spotting the glitches. You know what I mean? Those tiny little moments where what you think you see or hear doesn't quite line up with what's actually happening. It's like the first clue that, hey, maybe things aren't always what they seem.
And look, this isn't some brand new idea. I mean, for centuries, philosophers have been pointing out that our senses, the main way we understand the world, can be, and pretty often are, total tricksters. They're just not a perfect window into what's really out there. And these examples, they happen all the time. I'm sure you've seen it. A straw in a glass of water that looks bent. It's not broken, obviously. It's just the way light refracts. Or what about that classic phantom vibration? You could swear your phone just buzzed in your pocket, but when you pull it out, nothing. Your senses totally reported an event that just didn't happen. So this naturally leads to a much bigger and honestly kind of unsettling question. If your senses can lie to you about something as simple as a straw or a phone buzz, how can you be absolutely positively sure they aren't lying about, well, everything else? And this is where our investigation really kicks off. So, to help us out, we're going to follow a simple four-step method. We've already touched on step one, spotting the glitches. Next up, we're going to ask the ultimate what if. Then we'll find our solid ground, and finally, we'll figure out how to build everything back up from that one truth. All right, let's jump into step two and see where this goes. We're going to take that little tiny seed of doubt we just found and push it to its absolute logical extreme. And we're going to get a little help from a very famous philosopher to do it. So, meet René Descartes. We're talking about 400 years ago, this guy decided to do one of the most radical thought experiments ever. He literally decided to throw out every single belief he had. Everything he was taught, everything he saw, everything he felt, and just start completely from scratch. His whole goal was to find just one single truth that was absolutely, totally impossible to doubt. And this was his ultimate what if. Descartes basically imagined, what if my entire life, every single thing I see and hear, is just a super elaborate, totally convincing dream? Or maybe a hallucination cooked up by some kind of evil genius? I mean, think about it. How could he prove it wasn't real? And just to give you a sense of the scale here, he doubted everything. The floor under his feet? Gone. The sky? Maybe not real. His own hands? Could be a trick. His memories? Could be fake. He even doubted his own body. In his thought experiment, literally anything that came from the outside world could be a lie, so it all had to go. Okay, so after you've thrown all of that away, what's left? Seriously, if you can't trust your senses, your memories, or even your own body, is there anything at all that survives this wipeout? What could possibly be the one thing that's left standing? Well, this brings us to step three, finding your solid ground. Because it was right there, in that moment of complete and total doubt, that Descartes had his big aha moment. He found it. The one thing that was totally unshakable. Here's the crucial leap he made. Even if everything he was seeing was a complete lie, even if his whole reality was just one big trick, there still had to be a him that was being tricked. See? He was doubting, he was thinking. So the very act of being deceived proved that there must be a consciousness, a mind that was doing the doubting and being deceived. And this is what led to his world-famous conclusion. You've probably heard it, cogito ergo sum, which just means I think, therefore I am. This was it, the one single, undeniable truth he'd been looking for all along. He couldn't doubt that he existed, because the very act of doubting proved he existed. And that's really the profound takeaway here for all of us. What this idea does is it makes your own internal world, your consciousness, the bedrock foundation for everything else you know. Before you can be sure about the chair you're sitting on or the sky outside, you can be sure of yourself. The you that is thinking and feeling and questioning right now, that is your solid ground. Okay, so that's cool philosophy, but how do we actually use this? Well, let's get into our final section and turn this big idea into a practical toolkit you can use in your own life. Let's really learn how to be a reality detective. So here's your toolkit for thinking more clearly. Start small. Just question your little everyday assumptions. Ask yourself, okay, how do I actually know this is true? Then try to separate what you know for sure from what you just believe. And use that what if question not to get lost, but as a tool to explore new possibilities. And most importantly, always build your understanding out from your own I think moment. That's your base. And this is super important to remember. The goal here isn't to walk around doubting everything forever, right? That would be exhausting. The real point is to use doubt as a tool, like a broom, to sweep away all the shaky beliefs so you can then build a more thoughtful, more authentic life on top of a foundation you know is solid. When you really get down to it, it all comes back to this one simple but really powerful idea. Every single time you wonder about something, or question it, or doubt it, you're basically reaffirming your own existence. The very fact that you're even asking the question is the ultimate proof that you're here to ask it. So that leaves us with one final question to think about. You've found your solid ground. You've got your absolute starting point. You exist. The real question is, now that you know for sure that you're here, what are you going to build next?